Today I want to share with you a very important gesture, often underestimated, that you absolutely must take into consideration. Before starting, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell. Imagine carrying a heavy burden with you day after day, year after year. A weight that tires you, that slows you down, that prevents you from living fully. This burden is resentment, hatred, resentment. But there is a way of liberation, a key that can untie these chains: forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful and transformative gifts God has given us. When we forgive, we not only free those who hurt us, but we also free ourselves. Jesus taught us the importance of forgiveness through His words and example. On the cross, in the moment of greatest pain and injustice, He prayed, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Forgiveness is not easy. It requires courage, humility, and a deep faith in God. We often find ourselves facing deep wounds, betrayals, injustices that seem impossible to overcome. But forgiveness is the path to healing and peace. It is an act of trust in God, who is the just judge, and in His promise of justice and love. Let's think about the parable of the prodigal son. The father welcomes his son with open arms, despite his betrayal and his distance. This is the heart of God, a heart that forgives, that welcomes, that loves without conditions. When we approach God with a repentant heart, He is ready to forgive us and give us a new chance. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or justifying the harm suffered. Rather, it means choosing to no longer be slaves to the past, to not allow pain to govern our lives. It is an act of liberation that allows us to live in the present with joy and hope. Lack of forgiveness poisons our heart and soul, while forgiveness purifies and renews us. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus teaches us that we must forgive not just once, but 70 times 7. We must make forgiveness our lifestyle. A forgiving heart is a heart that lives in peace, that experiences true freedom, that reflects the love of God. Forgiveness has the power to transform relationships, communities, the world. When we choose to forgive, we become instruments of peace and reconciliation. We think of Nelson Mandela, who after 27 years of imprisonment chose to forgive his oppressors and work for reconciliation in South Africa. His example shows us that forgiveness can change the course of history. But forgiveness begins in our hearts, in our families, in our communities. It starts with small acts of mercy and love. It begins with a sincere prayer, with a gesture of reconciliation, with a hug. And you? Do you have someone to forgive or ask for forgiveness from? Write it in the comments below. Modern science has also demonstrated the benefits of forgiveness on mental and physical health. Studies have revealed that forgiveness reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and improves overall well-being. When we choose to forgive, we free our body and mind from a burden that can cause us illness and suffering. Forgiveness is therefore an act of love, not only towards others, but also towards ourselves. Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. There are days when it seems impossible to forgive, days when the pain is too great and the wound too deep. But God asks us to take one step at a time, to entrust our wounded hearts to Him, to let His grace guide us. Every act of forgiveness, however small, is a step towards freedom, a step towards healing. Forgiveness is also a form of testimony. When we choose to forgive, we show the world God's love and mercy. Let us become living witnesses of His grace, bearers of hope in a world that is in great need of reconciliation and peace. Every story of forgiveness is a light that shines in the darkness, a tangible sign of God's presence in our lives. Stories of forgiveness also abound in the lives of saints. We think of St. John Paul II, who forgave the man who tried to assassinate him. Despite the pain and suffering he suffered, the Pope met his attacker in prison, hugged him, and prayed with him. This act of forgiveness was a powerful witness to Christian love and touched millions of hearts around the world. Forgiveness is not only a gift for those who receive it, but also for those who grant it. When we forgive, we experience an internal liberation that allows us to live more fully. We are free from the weight of resentment, from the prison of hatred, and we can live at peace with ourselves and with others. Forgiveness brings us closer to God, makes us more similar to Him, allows us to live according to His commandment to love our neighbor as ourselves. Forgiveness means acknowledging the harm suffered, but choosing not to allow it to define our life. It means entrusting God with justice, believing in His mercy, and letting His love heal our wounds. Forgiveness is an act of profound faith, an act of love towards God, towards others, and towards ourselves. Now I invite you to reflect on who needs your forgiveness and who you need to ask for forgiveness. Think about broken relationships, harsh words spoken, moments of anger and resentment. Entrust all this to God, pray for His grace, and take the first step towards reconciliation. The power of forgiveness will transform your life, bring peace and healing to your heart and relationships. Forgiveness is a divine gift that allows us to live in freedom and peace. It is an act of love that reflects the heart of God. We choose to forgive, to free ourselves from the chains of hatred and resentment, and to live in the light of God's love and mercy. Because only through forgiveness can we experience the true peace and joy that God desires for each of us. To forgive is to love, and to love is to live in the fullness of God. And you, are you ready to discover how forgiveness can transform your life? Write it in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video until the end. See you next time.